You asked for it, now it's here. Absolute value equations, part 2. Without further introduction, we're going to go ahead and get into today's video. However, quick disclaimer, this is absolute value equations, part 2. If you haven't watched part 1, I'd highly suggest you do so you'll be able to understand some of the concepts we're going to be going over today. Alright guys, as you saw before, this is a worksheet, so make sure you click on the link in the description. It'll give you access to a lot of practice questions that you could try on your own. Now let's get started with this equation. So remember guys, it's nothing too difficult. All we're trying to do is to get x by itself. How do we do that? Remember, with our absolute values, what we're going to do is first try and get rid of our absolute value bars. So we're going to do that by creating a similar equation to this and an opposite equation. So let's go ahead and write that down. -4 plus 5x is going to be equal to 16. Then we have on our opposite side, -4 plus 5x is going to be equal to, now everything on the opposite side of this equal sign is going to be negative. So 16 times -1 will give us a -16. Now let's go ahead and solve these separately. If you need help with solving for x, I also have a video for that, so make sure you check it out. Now we're going to go ahead and get x by itself. We can do that by adding 4 to both sides. Plus 4, plus 4. So our -4 here cancels out. We're left with 5x is equal to 20. 20 divided by 5, because remember, we're trying to get x by itself. So divide both sides by 5. You're left with x is equal to 4. So let's go ahead and box that in. X is equal to 4. That's one of the solutions. Now let's also solve for x on this side. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and add 4 to this side. Plus 4. Plus 4. Our -4 and +4 cancel out on this side, and with this side we're left with the -12, so we're going to have 5x is equal to -12. All that's left is to divide by 5 on both sides. Divide by 5, divide by 5, and x is equal to -12 over 5. So that is our answer. This side, we're going to go ahead and box it in. Checking over your work is vital. Here's why. Dealing with absolute value equations, you have what is like to be called extraneous solutions, aka wrong solutions. What I mean by that is that at times, the two solution sets you get from an absolute value equation, chances are one and at times even both of those solutions might be wrong. So it always pays to check over. So let's go ahead and look at the problem we have. Remember, one of the answers we had was -12 over 5, or this is also equal to -2.4. Then we also had the answer 4. So we had these two answers for our absolute value equation right here. Now let's plug them in to make sure that they're correct. Let's start off with 4. So we had our absolute value, so let's do that in red. So our absolute value bar will be in red. Then our work will be in black. So we have our -4 plus 5, and remember x is going to be represented as 4, is equal to 16. Now we plug our values in, so 4 times 5 is 20. Plus our -4. And remember, absolute value bars. That said, all of it should equal 16. Now let's go ahead and keep on solving. -4 plus 20, which is also the same as 20 minus 4, is 16. Don't forget your absolute value. The absolute value of 16 is equal to 16. So that is correct. Now let's work with our negative 2.4. So let's try that out. Our negative 2.4. So let's start off with our negative 4 plus 5. In parentheses, we're going to have our negative 2.4 is equal to 16. Don't forget your absolute value bars. And then we're going to solve everything. So negative 2.4 times 5. Let's do that on the side. Negative 2.4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. Go to 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. So we have a negative 12. So we're going to bring everything down. Let's start off with our absolute value. And we're going to have our negative 4 plus our 5 times our negative 2.4, which is a negative 12. So we have our negative 12 with all that equaling 16. Now our negative 4 plus our negative 12, or the same thing as negative 12 minus 4, is going to give us a negative 16. You're probably wondering, negative 16, that doesn't equal positive 16. You're right, but we also forgot to mention our absolute value. So the absolute value of negative 16 is also equal to 16, because remember, absolute value is the absolute value of any number is going to be a non-negative number, meaning the absolute value of negative 16 is how many units away from 0 is negative 16. And remember, distance can never be negative. So therefore, the absolute value of negative 16 is 16. Therefore, we can conclude that both of our answers here are correct. All right, guys, let's take a look at this problem. So here we have our 2x minus 3 is equal to 3x minus 2. Now, it may seem long, but always enter a problem with a mindset of optimistic mindset. There we go. All right, so 2x minus 3, the absolute value of 2x minus 3 is equal to 3x minus 2. So as we see, there's nothing on the sides or underneath it. So we're just going to go ahead and solve. So let's start off with our similar equation, which is 2x minus 3. It's going to be equal to 3x minus 2. So let's start off with this. So we have our 2x minus 3 is equal to 3x minus 2. Let's start off here. So minus 3x on both sides. Now we have a negative x, or negative 1x minus 3 is equal to negative 2. Negative 3 and negative 2. Let's start here. So we're going to add 3 to both sides. Plus 3. So this negative 2 becomes positive 1 is equal to negative 1x. Now divide both sides by negative 1. By negative 1. And you get x is equal to a negative 1. So x is equal to a negative 1. Now let's go ahead and do our opposite side. So let's start over here. So we have our 2x minus 3. Now remember, guys, it's opposite. So everything on this side is going to be multiplied by a negative. So we have 3x minus 2. Now we're going to go ahead and multiply everything by negative 1. So now we're going to have a 2x minus 3 is equal to 3x times negative 1 is going to be a negative 3x. And negative 2 times a negative 1 is going to be a positive 2. So negative 3x plus 2. So as you can see here, they are different. Here we have a 3x minus 2. Here we have a negative 3x plus 2. So now we're going to go ahead and solve. So let's get x by itself. Let's add 3x to both sides. There's 3x. That cancels out. So now here we're left with 5x minus 3 is equal to a positive 2. Now we're going to go ahead and add 3 plus 3 plus 3 get 5x is equal to the positive 5. And here we just go ahead and divide by 5 on both sides. By 5, and x is equal to a positive 1. So now, are we done, guys?
No! 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 No? Huh. Okay.
We are not done. So let's go ahead and solve for extraneous solutions. Let's go ahead and check over. Alright guys, so our answers here are 1 and negative 1. So now let's go ahead and plug them into the equation. So here we have, don't forget our red marker, our absolute value bars. So we're going to have our absolute value of, and we have 2. Then what is x? Let's start off with 1. 2 times 1 minus 3 is equal to 3, not times x, but times 1 is equal to, not equal to, minus 2. Now we're going to go ahead and bring everything down. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 3. We'll move on without your absolute value bars. And we're going to go ahead and continue. It's equal to 3 times 1 is 3, minus 2. So now it's starting to look a bit more simple. So let's start with here. So our equal sign, 3 minus 2 is 1. Let's go here. Start off with your absolute value bars. 2 minus 3 is a negative 1. The absolute value of negative 1 is 1, which is also equal to 1. So here's how we know that 1 is a correct answer choice. Now let's go ahead and try negative 1. So let's go ahead and start with our absolute value bars. 1 and 2. Now we're going to have our 2x, but not times x, but rather times negative 1 minus 3 is equal to 3x minus 2. So now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and continue on and solve. So here we have our 2 times negative 1. 2 times negative 1 is going to give us negative 2 minus 3. Don't forget your absolute value bars. They are essential. All right, so now we have our 3. Oh wow, did I really put x? Y'all, forgive me. I meant to put a negative 1. See, we all make mistakes. All right, so don't forget it's times a negative 1. So 3 times a negative 1 is going to end up giving us a negative 3. So guys, see how that one step could have destroyed this whole problem, literally. All right, so now we have negative 3 minus 2. So now it looks a bit more simple. So let's start here. Don't forget your absolute value bars. So negative 2 minus 3 is going to give us a negative 5. It's equal to negative 3 minus 2 is going to give us a negative 5. Absolute value of negative 5 is 5. We bring this down negative 5. However, this is incorrect. 5 is not equal to negative 5. That's not okay, guys. So therefore, this is incorrect. So that is an extraneous value. Our first extraneous value, guys. So this is incorrect. It is wrong. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. And if you did not do my disclaimer, or how do you do a disclaimer? If you did not listen to my disclaimer, go ahead and watch Absolute Value Equations Part 1. Also, go ahead and subscribe if you're new to the fam. And yeah, if you need more math help, drop the questions you need help with in the comments and I'll make sure I get back at you. Stay safe, y'all. God bless.